My first concert happened 3 weeks after I had a baby.
3 weeks.
No, I've been playing the violin for more than 30 years, and this is the first time I'm injured. He said, oh, and I have a 7-month-old baby, and he said, oh, it's called mother's hand.
Hi everyone. Hi. This is Jihye and this is
Irina Muresanu.
Muresanu. Yes. And I just finished playing with her, Izai and Elgar. It was amazing playing
Really
with her.
fun concert.
Yeah, at the Chamber Music Society of Fort Worth. And I'm so happy that she's willing to talk about her experience as a mom and as a musician. So I'll ask her a couple questions and we'll see what she has to share. Great. My question is about the physical challenges that we have as, musician. Being an instrumental player is a very athletic kind of
Right.
activity, right? And then being a mom, you have to lift up the baby, you have to nurse the baby. So how was it for you? Was it easy or?
No, this is the part I really want to talk about.
Okay.
I always say that if I would be a Miss Something pageant competitor, I would put this as my platform.
All right.
Talking to young mothers, or I should say fresh mothers, about the fact that your ligaments, once you give birth,
It changes, right?
well, all your hormones
Yeah.
change. So the first year after you give birth, everything in your ligaments is softer. They're
Yes.
more prone to being injured. I
That's
wish someone would have
true.
told me that.
Yeah.
So while I was trying to be superwoman and juggle a full-time
Job.
teaching job and a
Yes.
concert career and breastfeeding my child and not sleeping at all, I didn't
Right.
sleep for 9 months, and stay in shape and still look like everything was absolutely
Normal, right?
And lifting the car seat, that's when things started getting off off track. I started having pain about 4 months
Oh wow.
into having a baby,
Yeah.
and I had never injured myself playing the violin. So 7 months later, I ended up at a at a doctor, actually,
Yeah.
a neurologist, and who specializes actually in musicians. And I told him, I've been playing the violin for more than 30 years, and this is the first time I'm injured. He said, oh, and I have a 7-month-old baby, and he said, oh, it's called mother's hand. And I thought, well, I wish someone would have told me this
Right.
before I got the mother's hand.
Yeah.
So apparently you're not supposed to really lift any weights, to
Right.
force anything.
Yeah.
Lifting a baby by doing that and playing the violin doing this is about the same thing. So, of course, I had a little injury in my left wrist, which then it healed. But what happened was that then my hand had fought this injury for about a year, and the shape of my left hand had changed. So it took me, I'm actually not kidding when I say I'm still feeling.
I see.
I'm still putting my left hand back into shape.
Wow. Did you have
Right.
to go through?
No. I had a little bit of physical therapy. Really, what I should have known was obviously not to make an effort. B, to take a lot of anti-inflammatories. Because then the pain would have been less. So then, actually, my left hand would have compensated less for the pain.
I see.
That's really what bothered me. So it wasn't so much the injury. It was the fact
Okay.
that playing the instrument was not the same. And as musicians, we know how important it is to
Right.
do with your hands what you've been taught to do. So I wish I would have taken, I would have known to take more medicine
When the pain was there.
after I
Yeah.
got injured. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And then what would be the advice that you would give to?
Well, first of all,
Yeah.
for people to know that this happens before it
Right,
happens.
right.
So take care of your hands. Don't lift.
Right.
Don't do anything crazy. Obviously, this happens because of the hormones. You're not sleeping. Everything in your life is,
Right.
have havoc.
Yeah.
But if it happens, go straight to the
Right.
the simplest thing is to take ibuprofen.
Okay.
Of course, there's steroids, things like that, which I didn't do. I've heard that people do that, and it's fine because it's just a small chunk of your life. This is not something that happens
Right.
forever.
Wow, I really appreciate that you talked about this because you know things happen and
Yeah.
because you didn't know.
Well,
And-
no one knows because
Right.
then I started talking to other ladies,
Uh-huh.
and they didn't know, and they were actually happy to find out
Share.
from me.
Yeah,
Yes.
right. Because I had injury before the baby, so I knew I had to protect myself
Yeah, good for
really
you.
super carefully. And
That's
then
great.
Also I had a friend who couldn't play
Oh boy.
anymore because of the baby
Yeah.
lifting. And I think we should not feel guilty if
No,
you're not holding
no,
the baby
absolutely
all
not.
the time.
No,
It's
of course
totally,
not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Good. So, how old is your child, kid?
So I have a 10-year-old,
Okay, just one.
one if you
Yes.
don't count the dog, which we do.
So then, when did you decide? You know, how did you decide when was a good time for you to get back to stage after the baby, or did you never stop, or how was it for you?
Oh, I knew that it was a good idea because I had a kid when I was I was pretty old. I was already 38, believe it or not.
Okay.
So I had a lot of time to be myself until then. And I realized that it was a smart idea for me to continue to identify myself as
violinist.
exactly who I was before having a kid,
Right.
namely a concert violinist. So I made a decision before having a kid. Of course, and I should say this, with the premise that if anything would have happened, namely, you know, God forbid, the kid would have needed me to be more home, that I would have canceled things. However,
Yeah.
if everything would go right, and luckily it did, that I would continue, and
Yeah.
didn't cancel any of my concerts. My first concert happened 3 weeks after I had a baby.
3 weeks. Oh
Yeah.
my god.
So I had to play the Sibelius Violin Concerto, and no one but my husband, who knew how crazy I was, believed that I was gonna pack my bags and go. But I did.
Okay.
Because I knew that this was kind of, again, I kept that part of myself going.
Yeah.
Of course, I was a fresh mom. And it was very hard, actually. People
Yeah.
said, "Oh, you're getting a rest from your baby." Well, what they didn't know was that I was just starting to breastfeed, and actually, that's when it's a really tough time for the mother
Yeah.
because that's when you really start producing milk.
Right.
So it was
And
a
it
very
physically
long,
hurts and, yeah.
long 3 days and 3 nights. I barely slept because I was in so much pain. But anyway, I got home, and my son decided that in those 3 days he learned that if he would take the bottle, his mom would not be
Yeah,
with him.
yeah.
So he decided
Smart
not
baby.
to take the bottle anymore, which is exactly the opposite of what apparently babies
Yeah,
do.
right.
So then I had to take my baby everywhere with me, which in some way was kind of the greatest time.
Yeah.
As taxing as it was
But
for
how
me.
did you do it? Did you have somebody traveling?
Well,
with
I
you?
always tell people, you know, there's the 4-letter word, and that is help.
Yeah.
You need help,
Yes.
and luckily I had time to, because I had a baby when I was old, so to speak. By clinical terms, definitely, I was an old.
Yeah, me too. I was
person.
an old mom.
Right. So I had time to think and to ask my colleagues, and I did a lot of asking
Okay.
about
that's good.
so how does this work? How can you still do concerts? What happens? And what I took away from it was that what would work for my family, of course, every family is different. But what would work for my family, because my husband is an emergency room physician, so between concert violinist
schedule.
/ teacher, emergency room schedule, forget it. So we realized that the best thing would be to have a living help, namely an au pair. That's so you get these young girls through agencies, international agencies.
Okay.
It's considered a student exchange. They live in your house,
I see.
and it's actually a good thing because you never have to worry about a babysitter ever, and their schedules are very flexible. See, a musician's schedule is not 9 to 5, Monday to Friday.
It changes all the
So
time.
having
yeah.
living help means that you can schedule them
Very
around
true.
your schedule,
Yeah.
which is really what helped me.
Yeah. So my last question is about staying in shape, both in your playing, but also physically, just in shape. You know, so that you're healthy and you can manage a lot of other things. So anything you would like to share?
So obviously, staying in shape means having some hours in a day when you can practice, that sometimes proves to be an
That's
impossibility.
right. So it's linked to the time management a little bit too.
Right, like
Yeah.
I never knew how much time I wasted until I became a mom.
That's right. Yeah.
And then I realized, but that by that point was too late. So I'm a late night owl. There have been many times when the house was quiet, and that was my hour for myself
Yeah.
to practice. So there's that. You have to constantly prioritize, because
That is
somehow
very true, yeah.
it seems that practicing seems to be left for last, as if that's actually the least important thing, when
Yeah.
in fact it should be the most important thing. But what you need to know is that things actually do get better.
Uh-huh.
They're not going to get worse.
Very true.
They do get better.
Yeah.
At first, it looks like your really entire life as you knew it
It's
has
over.
gone away.
Yeah.
But what you should know is that little by little, you will get your life back.
Yeah.
And then there's, concerts. If you go away for concerts, then you really will remember how your life was before having a baby. But also part of staying in shape is you're staying in shape mentally. So then it's the question of like, what do you do for yourself? I remember
Very
going to like a
important,
little
yeah.
baby class, and the instructor asked every single mama, what have you done for yourself this week?
Uh-huh.
And I said, oh, I put a face mask, and they all laughed. But I thought that was like something that made me
Right. Feel
feel
good,
better.
Yeah.
So what I did, and it was the time for myself. I did go to the gym.
Okay.
Not every day, not religiously, but I knew that was something that made me feel good.
Yeah.
First of all, because it really helps one stay physically in shape, but also mentally in shape.
Mentally, that is true.
It
It
gives you
clears
the,
your
you know,
mind, yeah.
endorphins.
Yes.
And also because, again, it was the time that I allotted for myself to do something that somehow it felt that I had my life, in order. Which, of course, you have to let go of a lot of things when you
Yeah.
become a new mom,
Right.
because you do. In some way, having a baby teaches you how to let go of a lot of things. I have
Yeah.
become a lot more relaxed since I've been a mom, because you can't control everything.
That's right. Yeah.
But
And
one
things
thing you
happen.
can control is how you feel about yourself, and not letting yourself slide down the dangerous spiral of, I'm getting old, and I'm not nothing but a mom. Everyone sees me as the go-to person for everything they need. It's tough. It can be tough. So then anything helps. I mean, for me, going to the gym help, but there are other little things. If you like that lipstick, just buy it. You might spend maybe a few more bucks than you would
Yeah.
have spent it otherwise, but it's the little things
Right,
that
that
help a
helps.
mother
Yep.
stay sane. And here's what you have to remember: a happy mother is a happy child.
Yep.
It goes the other way around,
Yep.
and that's everything.
Yes. Absolutely. That's beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.